As another week begins, our very own Mayor Joe Sulzer decided at last second on Thursday the 18th to run for judge of the Ross Common Pleas Court. He'll be running against current Ross County Prosecutor Mike Alter and Assistant Law Director Mark Preston in November. Also, Council approved a budget in early January. However, it will likely need to deal with major budget cuts this year, which may total over $1 million. Council Auditor Tom Sputnagel Jr. is faced with some difficult decisions for his first year in office, one of which is the possibility closing of the city pool. Also on Council, they unanimously rejected a rezoning request for CD's Auto Exchange on a corner of Western and Carlisle. Speaking of buildings in the news, I caught up with Jennifer McKell on the issue of the North Side Library. How are you involved in Get Your Library Back?
Well, I am the director of the Chillicothe and Ross County Public Library, and last summer there were huge budget cuts to all the public libraries, and one of the things that happened is that we had to close our North Side branch library, and people just hated this. So after a few months of study and discussion, the board of the library decided to put a levy on the May ballot. And the campaign that has grown up around this levy is called Get Your Library Back. So it's a campaign of volunteers and citizens, but as the library director, I'm very involved in it.
Why is the North Side Library so important?
Well, we have found that people really miss that library. It's the newest and most modern building in the library system. We had most of our children's programs there. It's all one floor, so it's accessible to older people. And it has a drive-through window, which people really like for convenience, but also people with disabilities and young mothers really like to be able to go through that drive-through window without having to get out of their cars and come into the library. Those services are only available at that building, and with it closed, we don't have that anymore.
Okay. Is there anything people can do to help bring back our library?
Yes, there are lots of things people can do to help. To get information about the campaign, probably the best way is to go on the Facebook page. There is a Facebook page called Get Your Library Back. At this time it has over 700 fans, and that is probably the easiest way to get information about what's going on with Get Your Library Back. And the Facebook page is called Get Your Library Back. There's also a website called Get Your Library Back. So going online is probably the easiest way. Of course, what people can do is go out and vote for it on May 4th and get their friends and families to vote. That's what they could mostly do to help. The campaign is having a meeting on March 11th at 7 o'clock, and it is in the old Central School building, which we now call the Annex. And at that time, the volunteers will get together, they'll receive training on what to do, get their campaign materials and get organized to go out and, bring the word to other people.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, just a couple of other aspects to the campaign. What we've heard the most about is Northside closing and the Get Your Library Back campaign. If it passes, Northside would reopen. But of course, other things that have happened is at the branches in the county, in the villages, Richmonddale, South Salem, Bainbridge, and Frankfort and Kingston, those libraries have had their hours cut as well, and also the book budget. We are buying many fewer books and DVDs. And again, if the levy passes on May 4th, the hours would be restored to the county branches. We would be able to buy more books and DVDs, and of course, Northside would reopen.
Thanks, Jennifer. Please make sure to vote on May 4th. The Board of Elections has also been in the news recently in response to the lawsuit which was finalized in June of 2009. The state and the League of Women Voters have agreed to settle a 4-year-old federal lawsuit that argued in 2004 election that the state failed to protect the rights of all citizens to vote. That's all for this week. I'm Luke Urick, and this has been another Downtown Update. Now back to you in the studio.